So this is a story about learning to love while knowing I would have to let go. It began over dinner one night when a dear friend shared about someone she loved and her journey with surrogacy. That's when something stirred inside me. And when I opened myself up to the invitation, I could feel it in my body. It wasn't a question. It was a clear and resounding yes. Joe and I already had 2 kids, and pregnancy had always been a place where I felt unusually steady, at home in my body. I loved being pregnant. But we didn't want another child, and I couldn't shake the pull to carry for someone else. It felt like the right kind of yes for our family. As the call strengthened, I shared it with Joe, and he listened carefully and respected my ability to discern what was true for my body and our family. He trusted my internal knowing. And with his support, I began working with an agency to find a couple to carry for. So I'll tell you what, this matching process was bizarre. I reviewed several profiles, nothing quite landed, and then I came across Tyson and Pedro. And my body recognized something before my mind did. I knew it was them. Suddenly, the match wasn't abstract. It had faces, stories, and real lives attached to it. After we matched, everything became highly structured. There were medical clearances, invasive procedures, psychological evaluations, legal contracts, conversations about abortion and risk and responsibility and bodily autonomy. And then I started the hormones I had to take to prepare my body for the best chance at pregnancy. I didn't realize it at the time, but I know now that hormones are everything. And everyone responds so differently to them. And for me, they hit hard. Harder than I could have ever imagined. My body dropped into a dark hole. I couldn't orient, I couldn't reason my way out. My nervous system felt hijacked. I couldn't recognize myself. And this all came right before the embryo transfer. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and I experienced anxiety like I had never experienced before. And still, with my mom and sister by my side, I walked into that room and had their embryo transferred into my womb, carrying hope for them while my nervous system was in chaos. When I found out that the transfer was successful and I was pregnant, I wanted to be excited for the fathers, but I felt trapped inside my own body. What scared me most wasn't just how dark it felt. It was that I was walking through this while carrying someone else's child. The responsibility was enormous. When I reached out for support, I often felt unseen, my experience minimized. Somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like a whole human and started feeling like a uterus, a body to manage rather than a person to hear. What held me was my family, my friends, my therapists, people who believed me and reminded me that what I was living was real and worthy of care. When I finally was able to stop the hormones, something shifted in me immediately. My nervous system began to settle, my emotions made sense again, and my body felt like a place I could live inside. I started to feel like myself again. And that is when the joy returned, the quiet wonder of carrying life inside me. My relationship with the fathers deepened, and I began to truly love this little being growing within me. I found a provider who trusted me, who listened to me as a whole human, and that experience was incredibly healing. Let me tell you, carrying someone else's child is wild. The responsibility is immense, heavy, and profound. I went to the appointments. I felt him move. I talked to him. I tended to his becoming inside my body. My body wasn't a vessel. It was creating a relationship. So perhaps throughout all of this, my greatest teachers were my children, Juniper and Weston. While many adults struggled to understand what I was doing, my children never seemed confused. They hadn't yet absorbed all the rules about how babies are supposed to be made or what families are supposed to look like. They loved this little being growing inside me. They talked to him. They rubbed my belly. They drew pictures for his fathers. And they understood, without fear or drama, that he wouldn't come home with us once he was born. He was always meant to go home with his dads. I learned that love doesn't always ask us to keep what we cherish. Sometimes it asks us to tend to what's been entrusted and then release it. I held space for his becoming, practicing not claiming what was never mine to keep. My children loved him freely, and they taught me that attachment and love aren't the same thing. This photo was taken the night before Nico was born. That afternoon, I was told that he would need to be delivered the next day due to some complications, which was quite a bit earlier than expected. And here I was FaceTiming with his fathers as they sat in an airport, rushing to Asheville in hopes of getting here in time to see their son being born. And the dads arrived just in time. Bags half unpacked, and then Nico was here. I'll never forget looking over and watching them watch their son take his first breath. My body had finished the work it was asked to do, and their family began. So when I came home from the hospital after each of my children were born, my mom made me her famous chicken piccata. It was her way of holding me after my body had crossed a threshold. And this time was no different. But this time, we shared the chicken piccata with our new family, not bound by blood or marriage, but by vulnerability, trust, and love. My children never stopped loving Nico. They still talk about him. They ask about him all the time. We exchange photos and videos. They don't speak of him as something we lost, but as someone we're connected to. They knew innately that love isn't about possession. It's about connection. It's about relationship. I didn't hand him over and simply disappear. We didn't walk away unchanged. In fact, we were forever altered. In a few weeks, we'll hop on a plane to go visit them, to celebrate Nico's second birthday. This journey taught me that love doesn't disappear when you let it go. It changes form, and it expands in ways I could have never imagined.